Dance of the Bear. But it is more than a dance, for it tells a story about our courageous ancestors. The most important part of the dance is when the bear threatens our chief. The chief must ignore the threats, proving to everyone that he is very brave. Bravery is important to our people. Funny, it was never that important to me, until recently. My name is Dashutahi. It means golden sparrow. I have lived for 15 winters here with my people, the Gitsan, in the house of the Frog Clan. So why is bravery important to me now? To explain that, I have to tell you a little about our people. We live in a small village along the Shun River in 5 cedar houses. This is our food storage house. It's built on stilts to help keep it dry during heavy rains and snow. And this is our smokehouse, where we smoke fish to preserve them during the long winters. In front of each house is a pole with many carved figures. One of the figures is very special, like this one, the wolf. This tells everyone that this house belongs to the Wolf Clan. My clan is the Frog, and that's why there's a frog carved in the top beam of our house. Clans share the same houses together. There might be as many as 4 to 5 families living in a single house. So it's a good thing our houses are so big. And even here we've carved special figures important to our clan and its history. Our houses are made from cedar logs and planks we cut from our forests. And there's an opening at the top to let out smoke. We sleep along the outside edges of the house. That's my mother tucking in my 2 younger brothers. Our blankets are bear skins, and they are very soft and warm. On one wall in our house is our clan symbol, the frog. So what does all this have to do with bravery? You see, clans are very important to our people. They are like big families, and it is forbidden to marry someone from your own clan. I wanted to marry a boy from the Wolf Clan. His name is Danawak, and he's kind and caring. But my parents wanted me to marry Danawak's older brother, Jago. Jago was the oldest eligible boy in another clan, so that's who my parents insisted I marry. This is the way of clans, and parents arrange all marriages, and everyone has to obey clan rules. When you belong to a clan, you get special privileges, like being able to hunt in clan territory. My father is a very good hunter, and he and my brother hunt for deer and elk in our forests. They also set traps and snares. This is a snare. A string is tied to a bent tree. At the other end of the string is a loop. When a small animal runs through the loop, it triggers the snare. This is just a stick, but it could have easily been a rabbit or squirrel. Women do gathering in areas set aside for their clan. We gather fruit and berries and other things that grow in our forest. Wild strawberries are my little sister's favorite. Clans also cut trees in their own areas. Cedar trees are the ones we use to make our houses, poles, and canoes. The men use adzes to start the cut. The blade of the adze my father is using is made of iron, which we get by trading with people far to the north. Iron blades work better than the stone blades we used to use, but tree falling is still hard work. And that's why the men will set a fire in the place cut out for it. The fire will eventually burn its way through the cedar. Next, the men use pounding stones and wedges to split the tree into planks. You can hear the tree splitting. Cedar splits easily when wedged properly. The men may get 50 planks out of a small tree like this one. We use cedar to make lots of things. Sometimes we strip the bark from the cedar. This is done by first making incisions in the bark using a small adze. The bark is then pried away from the cedar. Finally, it is stripped. A good bark stripper, like my father, can strip the bark a long way up. When done properly, stripping does not harm the cedar. The brown outer bark is then stripped away as only the inner bark can be used. Later, the bark strips are soaked in hot water to make them soft and pliable. The strips are laid out and then woven together, one strip going under every other strip. This is the start of a basket.
Nina.
And this is what the basket looks like when it's nearly complete. The strips are folded back and then tied off with string made from root. My little sister watches every step, for soon she will have to know how to make baskets herself. Bark can also be braided and made into rope, belts, headbands, and even clothing. Several men in our clan are excellent carvers. They carve many things, but some of the most important things they carve are masks. The masks represent supernatural beings and animals important to our clan. They're never used for play, but for special ceremonies. This mask is the wolf. I mentioned how clans have special privileges. Another one is the right to fish in certain areas. One way we fish is with spears. The points are first sharpened with a stone. One man will beat the water with a stick, driving a salmon toward the spearer. Then it's up to the spearer to have an accurate aim and not let the salmon off the spear. Using this technique, 2 men should be able to spear enough salmon in one afternoon to feed the entire village. There are a number of ways to cook salmon. One way is by bracing it with sticks and then roasting it over a fire, just far enough away to keep the sticks from burning. This gives the salmon a smoky flavor. Another way to cook salmon is by boiling. A hot rock is placed in a box filled with water. This causes the water to boil. Next, my mother adds green plants, like wild onions. And then, sections of salmon for salmon stew. Salmon stew is not my favorite. Every year, the bones from the first salmon caught must be returned to the water from which they came. We believe that salmon offer themselves to our people so that we may eat them. For this, we must show them great respect. By returning their bones to the water, the salmon will be able to resurrect themselves and return to our people the following year. Our people show respect for everything in the natural world, for we believe everything in nature has a spirit life. As long as we show proper respect, we will lead good and healthy lives and never do without. But there are evil spirits in the world, and when things go wrong, like sickness, it is sometimes because of the evil spirits. Shamans, or medicine men, have been specially trained to deal with illness. Many times they use herbs and medicines to cure the sick. But sometimes it is necessary for the shaman to call upon spirit helpers and perform special acts to cleanse and purify the bodies of those who are contaminated. The shaman works very hard, sometimes for days before he is successful. I don't want you to think we never have time for games, because we do. One of my favorite games is foot racing. Another game we play is tug of war. Boys' games are a little rougher, like wrestling. And stick fighting teaches boys to become good warriors. There was no question Jago would become a good warrior, and that's who I would have had to have married if Danawak hadn't proved himself. Here's what happened. Our chief had brought his grandson to the forest to show him how cedars were cut. Danawak was the fire tender that day. The chief wanted to give instructions to the men and let the boy alone. Suddenly, the cedar began to fall. Danawak was the first to see it.
It's Yatwin!
Danawak dove and pushed the boy away just as the tree hit the ground. The boy was shaken up, but he'd be all right. Needless to say, the chief was very thankful his grandson was saved. So thankful, in fact, he talked to my parents, telling them how brave Danawak had been that day. My parents were so impressed, they finally agreed to let me marry Danawak instead of Jago.